Hi, welcome back to my channel, Fabulously Frugal and Fancy. I'm Brandy. Today's video we are doing a very fun project made from wood and some Dollar Tree items as well. One part of the project is a fall, however the other part is something that you can transition. You make this, you can use it for then Christmas or winter, summer, any kind of decor as well. So I hope that you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed making it. Sorry, there's a bug in my face. And let's just go make something fabulous. Alright, so I saw this in the store for $50 and knew I could make a fall lantern for a lot cheaper and much more my style. I was inspired by this one that Jamie from Crafty DIY Guy, he thrifted this and then he redid it. And I loved the shape and I loved that it was on a little pedestal. And then Jackie from Blessed Beyond Measure made this one for outside. And she used some frames, so I basically took inspiration from both of these. Both of their channels and the videos will be linked below. I used these, the long picture frames from Dollar Tree. I started out using two of those little candle holders. I used these square dowel rods, and I think that they were 3/4 or half an inch. I'm not sure what the size is. So I just start by taking out all the insides of the picture frames. I don't need the glass. I don't need any of the innards whatsoever. You can pull those little tabs off if you want. I just kind of put them back behind so they wouldn't really matter. Sorry, let me turn my phone down. And I take the dowel rod and I just measure it to the length of the sides of the picture frame. I cut 4 of them, took them outside and cut them on the miter saw. And then I use some hot glue and I just start putting these together. These are going to be to make these frames very solid, to make my frame of my lantern very solid. So these wood pieces here, I just line them up. I put all 4, do a little box type thing with these. Those square dowel rods really do make a difference. They do make it all sturdy. They make everything, give you a lot more surface to glue to. And I'm just going all the way around. Like I said, I cut 4 of those dowel rods. I put them in each corner and I just make a little square. Well, a large square, because these are pretty large picture frames. This lantern actually turned out a lot larger than what I imagined in the beginning, but it is beautiful. I love it. I love how it turned out in the end. Don't worry that it's a little floppy on that one side, a little crooked just then. I do straighten it out when I put it all of them in there together. So again, those dowel rods really do make it sturdy, really do make it, I mean, in the end, this is very heavy and sturdy, but you just have to hold the wood, the hot glue, you have to hold it there for a minute. And I'm just trying to pick off some of the strings, because if you ever use hot glue, you do know that the strings of hot glue tend to be everywhere. But all right, I'm just putting the last picture frame in right now. So I'm adding the last 2 dowel rods first to the sides. I just use a lot of hot glue on this part. This is going inside, so I'm not worried about the hot glue. I don't have a covered porch outside the house. I have like a sunroom, so this could go in there, or it could go anywhere in the house. You could use wood glue. These frames are not wood, they are more like a foam. So I'm not sure that wood glue would actually hold them, and wood glue does take a lot longer to dry. So I used the hot glue. Again, I had no issues. I used wood glue later on the other pieces, so. Excuse me. So you just want to line those up perfectly, you know, so that it's a perfect square there at the base for this long rectangular piece. Then I went out into the shed and I found some wood. This was like a piece of a shelf. It was about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch thick, or maybe an inch thick. And I cut 6 pieces. I did 2 in the very large one that is just like a 1/2 inch larger than the base of the lantern. I sanded everything, so then I'm using some wipes to just get off all of the... I cut these outside on the miter saw. I sanded them outside. I did not record that because I was outside and the weather was not really good today, so I didn't really worry too much about doing that on film. Sorry about that. So I use wood glue here, my Gorilla wood glue. I'm just measuring because I wanted the same distance all the way around. This is the top piece. And I go ahead and just draw a square around with a pen because it worked out pretty well. My wood glue lid was very clogged. I couldn't get it unclogged, so I was going to pour it on there, decided that wasn't the best idea, so I just got a brush, put it on, and I did add a little bit of hot glue just to do a quick hold, but the wood glue is what's going to hold it permanently. And I just make sure that's lined up in the box inside that I had drawn on previously. That's why I went ahead and just sketched it out, because once it was measured, I will never get it perfect again unless it's measured. I cannot do straight lines. I can't just look and be like, oh yeah, that's straight. It never works if I do it that way. So I just add a generous amount of wood glue around the center, and I leave plenty of space around the edge for some hot glue as well. And then I just do a little bit of hot glue in each corner just to make sure that it's going to hold quickly, because I don't want to wait forever. I just want it to hold and not slide. I got these little finials at, I believe, Home Depot. They had a little screw at the bottom. I just took a pair of pliers, and you can take that screw out pretty easily. I'm drawing an X in the middle so that I have the exact center of my top piece, and then that little finial. Now I'm going to work on the bottom. I'm going to put the largest piece there. And originally, at the beginning, I showed you 2 glass candlesticks. I did E6000, I glued those together, and originally I put those in the middle. The weight of the top of this was very heavy, and it ended up breaking the glass candlesticks. So I ended up using something else later on. So I'll show you what I used. I drew the place where the thing sat. I used wood glue on the corners that were going to be touching the actual wood part, and then I used hot glue there, and then that's going to be the top piece. And I have to keep rearranging the camera so that you can see the whole thing, because it is very large in the end. See, here's the 2 glass pieces, and this was originally how it was going to look. Again, it was all glued together. It was sitting overnight. I come down the next morning, and those glass candlesticks, the black one just snapped in half. They didn't break where it had been glued. They literally snapped in half. The weight of the wood was way too much for those, so that's okay. You live and learn. You make mistakes when you're DIYing. You know, I kind of wanted that pretty spindly look, but I put a ton of weight with the wood, and so I ended up, I'm not even sure why I left this part in, where I was adding some little scrap cardboard in between to make it more flat surface. I centered it up. I really did get that in there really well, but like I said, one of those glass candlesticks, I believe it was the black one, just snapped in half, and I had never seen that before. But the weight of the wood was really a lot on the top, and I guess it was just too much for the glass candlesticks. So I ended up using a piece of a 4x4 that I had left over that was sitting in the garage, and I rounded the corners of it and used that, and it ended up being extremely sturdy this way. There was no unbalance of weight that way. This way, there was a lot of unbalance of weight. It was a lot more heavy at the top than it was at the bottom, and those glass candlesticks just were not the right thing. So if you want to go for a look of this with those kind of glass candlesticks, use thinner wood or something not quite so heavy, so you could do that spindly look that the candlesticks provide. But it didn't work for me, and I ended up really liking the way it turns out in the end anyway. So not sure why I left this part in there. I apologize for that. Okay, so this is the next day, and no, this is just a little bit later, and I'm just measuring to get it all measured out to attach those bottom two pieces there. I used the largest piece on the base, and then I used the two smaller pieces as the very bottom stand for it. So, and again, just marking so that I can put all of that in there. Put the wood glue and then the hot glue to hold it all together. I know I have been off of YouTube for about a month probably. It's just been a very busy summer. I had a couple of events this summer that I did decorations for, and it's just been a busy time, and so I have not really had the time to craft or YouTube, and my craft room is now a total disaster, so I gotta work on that next before Christmas comes around. As you can see there, I took that spindle and I glued with the wood glue onto the top of that piece. I drew the X across the wood just to make sure I found my center perfectly. And I'm dabbing some wood glue on those wood dowels at the top here. And I do add some wood glue to that. I'm not sure why. And then I do also add some hot glue. Oh no, I don't do any hot glue there? Oh, I'm surprised. So this is the 4x4 that I used from outside. I rounded the edges with the sander because that glass piece had broken. I glued it in with wood glue, and then I sat some weight in there to dry. This ends up standing about 3 feet tall. It is very pretty, and I do love how it turns out in the end. I went outside with some black spray painted it all black, and here's the final thing for that. And then I just go ahead to make some decorations. I want this to look like fall. So I'd gone to Dollar Tree. I got these 3 pumpkins. They only had black. They didn't have any of the white ones, which was okay. It didn't matter to me which color because I'm painting them anyway. And the black worked just fine to cover, so it wasn't a big deal. So I painted these. I kind of, with fall, I like to go with like jewel toned type things. So I did one in like a teal greenish blue color, one in like a burgundy, and then one in a metallic bronze color. Here I'm just kind of mixing some colors together to get the teal greenish blue that I wanted, because the one I didn't have a lot of. So, and I paint each of the pumpkins a different color. So this one is the teal. Kind of comes out like a greenish teal color, but I really like the color. It's a very pretty color, and I like the jewel toned look for fall. The deep oranges, the like burnt orange and burnt red, the deeper yellow, metallic colors. I really like those for fall. I love the jewel tones at any time, but especially for fall. So I gave each pumpkin 2 good coats of paint. I dried them in between. Like I said, this one is the teal greenish color. This color is matte. The other 2 end up being shiny, so I tried to, distribute it evenly later on. I put that one in the middle, I believe, of my tiered pumpkins. So now the decorations for this lantern, I attach them to themselves, but I do not attach anything with glue to the lantern, because this lantern is going to be for all year round. This is not just a seasonal piece. This is a piece that I can use every different season. I can decorate it however I want for each season, but nothing is going to be attached to the lantern itself, so that I can switch everything out and do them differently. And I'm sorry, I thought I cut out quite a bit of this painting here, and I did not. I thought I sped it up a little bit faster, and I did not, so I apologize for that. It's going a little bit slower than what I thought originally, but it's been a while since I've edited, so I just got to get back into it. Like I said, this summer has been busy. I decorated for a wedding. I had my parents' 50th wedding anniversary party that I decorated for. I made some decorations for my sister to use for a baby shower. It's just been a busy summer. So, and my craft room shows it. I think my next few videos may be me cleaning out, reorganizing, and maybe doing some rearrangement in my craft studio here. It's just a mess right now. I have piles upon piles. I have things upstairs from those events that I did that I have not put away yet. So I really need to crack down. Actually, I still have some of it in the back of my car. That's funny. So I am going to be working on that because I need to get all of that done this month, because then there's Christmas and all that entails, and my craft room always ends up a mess during Christmas. But right now I can't even get to any of the Christmas stuff. So that will have to be done first. And I will, get back into the groove of editing and so forth. So as you can see, I did kind of like a burgundy metallic color, and then I did this gold metallic, or it's like a bronze metallic color. This is an Arteza paint. The other two are acrylics, but I like this Arteza paint. You don't need a ton of coats with this. The only reason I did this time was because it's over black. Usually with these colors, I only need one. But when you have black underneath, you almost always, I should have just done a base coat of something else, but it was, the bronze is a lot more expensive. Those Arteza paints are a lot more expensive. So next time I probably will just use a base primer underneath, maybe, an orange or something, just to kind of give it that base, and then do the bronze over top. But they did not have, the only pumpkins they had were those black ones for Halloween, but that's okay. The foam pumpkins you can use if they're, no matter what color they are. And I really did leave in me painting each and every single one of these, and I apologize for that. I did speed it up a little, but I thought I cut out about half of this. I just stuck a pencil down into the center to hold so I didn't get paint absolutely everywhere. Of course, I still get paint everywhere. Alright, so here are my pumpkins after 2 good coats, and my stem I painted gold. You could use a different stem if you wanted. It's really up to you. Now what I did is, the first time I was putting some of these flowers, I got all of these from Dollar Tree, just some simple fall florals and some greenery. I didn't know if these were actually fall. I mean, they were in the fall. They're kind of like that tealy blue color. So I really liked those because they kind of go with that teal that I picked in there. So at first I started inserting some of these leaves and stems and so forth just around the top before I attached the other pumpkins, because I'm making a topiary stack of 3 pumpkins here to go inside my lantern. And I put some of these in first. I would not recommend that, because then it's really hard to attach the next pumpkin. Just attach the pumpkins and then insert all the florals and leaves that you want, as opposed to putting them on top like this, because it makes it really difficult for, I'm not sure why, for the things to attach, the next pumpkin to attach. So this was the top one. I put the, obviously I put the stem in the top pumpkin, and I decorated just with some leaves on the top of that. And then I'm going for the next one down, and here's where I just started inserting and kind of putting some of the florals and leaves in first, because I thought, oh, I want them to kind of look like they're in between the pumpkins, which obviously it didn't work out that way too well. I've got some of the orange and some of the burgundy in there, and then I pushed the pumpkin down on there, and I added a ton of hot glue. It just wasn't working out too well that way. So I would recommend that you put the pumpkins together and then kind of shove some of the things in between, like I did on the last one. So, and as you can see, I put the matte pumpkin in the middle. The top one and the bottom one are metallic paints, and they are more shiny. And I put the metallic one in the middle just to balance out the shininess. It's not really a word, but the shiny pumpkins, because I really like that metallic look on things for fall. I like it all year round. You give me anything shiny and I'm loving it. So I always like the shiny. And here I'm just inserting some more leaves and stuff around, adding a ton more hot glue because these were not one to hold together. They did in the end, probably because I had like 4 glue sticks in between the 2 pumpkins here. But you live and learn, you know, when you're DIYing. I knew what I wanted it to look like. I just was not thinking about the structure of it. Sometimes I do that. But I'm just inserting some of these little florals, and I got up to go grab something else. Oh, I got some kebab sticks because these weren't holding together. I forgot that I inserted those actually. And then I, used those to kind of hold them all in. I cut that piece and it shot somewhere, and I never did find that piece of the kebab stick. I was using my my aviator snips, and I was cutting little pieces so that I could insert from the bottom and attach to the top. It worked a little better, so finally that and a whole bunch of hot glue, they finally held together. But remember, these pumpkins are not solid styrofoam, so it's a little difficult to add the skewer sticks, because when you add the top one to the bottom one, the skewer sticks started first just like sinking all the way through because they poke a hole through the initial styrofoam. So it was a little trial and error, like I said, but you gotta play with it a little to figure out what you want. So this time I add the skewer sticks first. I let them dry in the bottom one and let the hot glue dry so they weren't like, still melting the styrofoam and just falling through. And then I burnt my finger a little, of course, because, when you're using hot glue, and you should always wear the finger protectors or use the little spatulas. I've got them all right there. I do. They're right next to my hot glue gun right there, and that little pink caddy. I have them all. I just forget to put them on my fingers. And I'm still dealing with that. And sorry, again, I thought I cut out a whole bunch of this. I'm not sure why it kept it in, but I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm fussing with these to get them to glue together. Again, I apologize for leaving so much in. I'll get back in my groove. And then I just start inserting some of the florals and the leaves around in between those pumpkins there. And I just keep doing, just do it to where you're happy, where you like the look of it, how it looks. I'll show you in the end. I use the garland with this little topiary to decorate the lantern. I love how it turned out in the end. And that's the thing, you just have to play with it until it's something that you really like. You think you're happy with the way it turned out. See, I'm still trying to get them to stay together and not tip off. It did take a while, but eventually the pumpkins are all attached and are not going anywhere. And if you do this, I would recommend taking that stem out completely and just discarding it. I painted mine gold, but it really wasn't like what I really wasn't impressed with the way the stem looked in the end, but the rest of it I love. And I'll switch out the stem eventually. I'm just holding it so all the glue can kind of set, pushing it down so the glue doesn't keep separating. Adding a few more of the florals, the orange and the red, just sticking them here or there. Alright, and here is my finished product. Again, this stands about 3 feet tall. I wrapped some of the garland around the bottom, up inside. I sat the pumpkins in there, and I added a couple of more stems to poke out. I love how this turned out in the end. And again, nothing is attached to the lantern. This lantern is extremely sturdy. It's solid wood, except for those frames. But those are just like a decorative outer piece because the wood dowels make up the actual frame of it. It's extremely sturdy. It is heavy. This could be an outdoor piece if I had not used hot glue in it, which I don't have an outdoor area to put this. Oh, come here. Yes. Yes. Oh. Come on, right here. So what did you think of the lantern and the fall decor that I put inside the lantern? I think that it turned out very beautiful. It did turn out a little taller than what I had originally planned, but I really like how it looked in the end. Also, want to shout out to two different creators that this was inspired by. I believe I mentioned them earlier on in the video. Jamie the Crafty DIY Guy and Jackie from Blessed Beyond Measure. She made a lantern. Didn't stand up on a pedestal. His stood on a pedestal. I kind of combined both and made something that I really liked. If you tried to buy this in a home decor store, I'm sure that it would be very expensive because it is solid wood. It is very sturdy, and you know, I think that it would cost, you know, above $50 if you made this, if you bought this in a home decor store. Sorry, my dog is walking around out here. Come here, Mo, say hi. Come here. Come here and say hi. Say hi, this is Mo. Come here, Mo. Mo is so sweet, and she loves to be in the videos with us. So I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you enjoyed this, and let me know if you try to make it on your own. Until the next time, you have a blessed day. Bye.